Hello Rhinos, you're one step away from reversing your type 2 diabetes. But what is that step? If you want to know, stay tuned. My name is John Collett, and in March 2018 I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and within 6 months I managed to reverse my condition naturally, and I want to help you do the same. So what's the one thing that's stopping you, the one step that's stopping you from reversing your type 2 diabetes? In his book, Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins says that it's in moments of decision that lasting change is made. So that's it. That's what you've got to do. You've got to just make a decision, no matter what, that you are going to reverse your type 2 diabetes. Nothing's going to stop you. You're going to put it into remission. And that's the end of the video. So it just gives me time to say, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and put something in the comments box. Oh, in a second. If it was just as easy as making a decision, we'd all do it. We're all masters of making decisions all the time. We go shopping, we decide what food we're going to have. You decide what holidays you're going to go on. You decide what you're going to do in a day. You're the king, you're the master. No one is better than you at making a decision. So the real question is what motivates that decision process? What allows you to decide to do something, and what allows you to decide not to do something? And that's two emotions. And those two emotions are pain and pleasure. When there's something that we enjoy doing, we will move heaven and earth to get to that point, to feel that pleasure. We all know people who like going on holiday, normally to the same place on a regular basis, and they will sacrifice many things to be able to go on those holidays and not get in the way of that feeling when they're in that place, in that hotel, surrounded by that environment, with the sun or the snow or whatever it is, how they feel about it. They'll do anything. And we all have things which, when we think about them, cause us pain. And normally that could be eating healthy food, or going down the gym and exercising, or going out for a run. But the reality is, we don't even just avoid that pain, we avoid the actions that lead to that pain. So we don't even go out and find out where the local gyms are, how much it costs to join the local gyms, what's the best running shoes to get, what's the best diet to eat. We avoid the whole concept of that pain. And we avoid that pain even when we know that going through that pain is going to lead us to pleasure. So when it comes to reversing type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, we know that if we exercise on a regular basis and we eat that real food, we'll gain a lot of pleasure from being in that place. You know, we'll feel more energy, we'll feel stronger, we'll feel more enthusiastic. But the idea of exercising and going to the gym right now for most people, and eating real food for most people, is the idea of doing that is more painful than the pleasure you feel from eating processed sugary food and not exercising. And how do I know that? Well, because just like you, I was in that position for a long time. You know, I weren't bothered by the fact that I couldn't do my shoelaces up and breathe at the same time. I weren't bothered that I didn't have enough flexibility to cut my own toenails. I weren't bothered that I was constantly feeling thirsty, constantly having bruises that took ages to heal, my deteriorating vision. I used to say things to myself: if I was built for exercise, then I would be bigger, I'd be stronger, I would do all of those things. If I was meant to eat that food, then I would enjoy that food. I would give myself a whole load of excuses about why I weren't doing the things that I knew I had to do to lead a healthy lifestyle. Even though I knew that if I did those things, I would feel a lot better. But there's a point. There was a point where that pain of doing nothing became too painful, that the idea that it became less painful, more pleasurable for me to be able to start exercising, to start eating healthy. So what was that moment for me? And because this moment is going to be different for everyone, okay? Well, that moment for me was when I was watching a documentary, and there's a man who was a type 2 diabetic, and he'd been taking his medications for years, but he had an infection in his leg. And that infection wasn't healing, and it was going up his leg, and as a result, he was going to have it amputated. They went back to see the man once he'd had the operation, and despite the fact that he had to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair, he was extremely happy that the pain had gone away in his leg. And then he started talking about all the pain in his thumbs, and he couldn't wait to have his thumbs amputated so he could get rid of the pain in his thumbs. There's a few things that, for me, there's a few things that were going through my mind at this moment in time. There was one, that this guy now has gained more pleasure from having the operation. So bizarrely looking forward to having it. But for me, it was the moment I snapped. It was the minute I snapped. I got out of my chair, I went to the kitchen, I got a bin bag, I threw all the processed and sugary food that we had in the house, put it in that bin bag and threw it out. I went and signed up to DDP yoga, to do exercise doing DDP yoga, and started doing the work. But that was the moment for me, the moment where that pain became too much. You see, it's not just the idea of having amputation. It was also the idea that I wouldn't be able to look after my family, wouldn't be there for them, wouldn't be able to play with my daughter, play with my grandchildren, be there in the long term if I just carried on taking the medication. All of a sudden, that idea of carrying on eating that rubbish food, that poisonous food, that lounging around and not doing any exercise became far more painful than the idea of doing exercise and eating right. And so the real question is what is that for you? How do you change that over? How do you change the idea of exercising, eating real food to be more painful than the consequences of type 2 diabetes? Maybe you can make a list of the two, the pros and cons, and do it that way. Or you can find out more about our 12-week course, Reversing Type 2 Diabetes. Book a call, go to the link description below, click on the link, it's going to take you to my website. Stick your name and your email in there, and I'll send you a webinar of the 5 steps that our clients take to reverse their type 2 diabetes and start making the idea of exercising and eating healthy to be more pleasurable than carrying on taking the medication. Remember, you're not a number. You're a rhino. Now charge.